So this video is following up from our marketing and business video that we posted on YouTube.
If you haven't watched that yet,
You'll want to watch that after this, because these are all the questions that were asked on a post on Facebook that I couldn't put in that video. It was already 50 minutes or like 60 minutes. So, and this is going to be 60 minutes. That'd be a really long video. So before we start, we want to say that we made a lot of mistakes in our last business. And so when we started this business, we wanted to make sure that we didn't have the same issues. So we put processes in place and we got software so it'd be a lot easier. But while I was reading some of the posts, remember to look up here, Steve.
I'm trying to.
Okay, we're trying to look at the camera this time instead of just ourselves. When I read some of the posts, I start seeing the panic that we used to have of people who their business is starting to get very busy, and they're seeing that paper and pen method of trying to keep track of everything isn't working when they're trying to schedule, when they have things in different segments of the business, like inventory coming in, a whole bunch of different parts, estimates. We feel your pain.
There's a lot of moving parts into the business to make things operate. And if you're doing it on scratch pads and paper, that's great to get started. But once you get busy, those notes are very easy to lose on a different piece of paper. I realize I'm chewing through notebooks very, very fast, and that's just temporary notes of things I'm doing that day. Once I finish up with that day, things go into the software, so they're done. I don't have to remember them after that, but I go through paper pretty quick right now.
Yeah, so we're hoping between that video and this, we're going to give you a good baseline of ideas and things to streamline your business so you don't have the weight. We know what the weight feels like. I mean, we already have it in this business and we have it like streamlined, but our last business, oh my gosh. And this is also going to be the last Facebook Live about business operations on our public channel. For now on, we're going to move these into our Facebook subscriber group because those are the people who really want to know about this stuff, and this channel is for like our business. So if you are interested in this type of stuff and you want more information like this, you definitely want to become a subscriber, and then you'll be put into that group, and then you'll find out about this type of stuff. And this is what we're talking about in the group anyways. But before we start the frequently asked questions, I need to cover this, and I'm really sad that I did not put it in the other video because we're seeing this happen a lot and it really needs to be talked about. And that is piracy and plagiarism that we see a lot of people are doing who have never been trained in business, and they're starting a business and they're just like, oh, I need a picture, I need this, let me just grab it off the internet and use it as my own. So we're going to go through that. Piracy would be going to Google and downloading a picture of an RV because you need a picture, and so you just take it, put it up on your website. You're not supposed to be taking anyone else's photos and using them as your own. You either need to take the photos or pay a platform like Shutterstock.
Shutterstock, yeah.
For using those photos. So Shutterstock, like how this works is, I'm a photographer, I go take photos, I upload them to Shutterstock, and then Steve is the consumer, he wants that photo, so he goes to Shutterstock and downloads it, and then Shutterstock pays me when he downloads the photo. So I'm getting credit for my work.
Or of course, if it's your own photo, you took it at a campground.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, that's your own property. Yeah.
Or use the photos that come, if you're building a website, they have stock images, then you can use those because they own those photos. So you definitely don't want to be pulling photos off of the internet and just using them for yourself. So everything like on our website, I've either taken them, I've used Canva to design my stuff, and they have free photos too on there, or I paid Shutterstock and I used their photo and then made it my own.
And for example, I saw someone, they built their website, and I looked at it and just curious, and I was like, oh my gosh, this photo is the main branding photo for Harvest Host. It's a camping photo.
Yes, it's
and
a beautiful photo.
It has a Harvest Host logo in it, and they use it on their website. I think the person building their website didn't know any better and used it, and the person that was the mobile tech had no clue because they weren't involved in any part of that. So making sure if you're not doing it yourself, who's ever doing your stuff has rights to the stuff to post it. They've bought it commercially or took it on their own, or you took it and give it to them.
And another thing we see are people using photos and it has the watermark in the background. I used to see this all the time when I worked at the Chamber of Commerce. A new business would join, I'd look at their stuff, look at their website, and there's watermarks on the back of the photos. They put the watermarks on the photos so that you don't use them, and if you do use them, then it says their name on the background of it. So you do not want to use those for your website.
Yes. Quite unprofessional when someone looks at your website and they see watermarks on there and like, what's going on here?
Yes, and the other one is plagiarism. So that's going to be copying word from word what another business has on their website, blogs, or social platforms. and you're using that on your website or your social platforms. So I know there's only so many ways to say like RV repair, RV maintenance, mobile tech, but those are key words for the industry. Everyone's using them. You need to use those. But the description of what RV repair is or RV maintenance, those do not need to be the exact same words. So you need to come up with your own saying for your website. Don't just take something from other people's websites and say, that sounds good. Let me just use that word for word. You need to change it up.
If you search and you were trying to create a post about, let's say, winterizing RVs, and there's probably a post out there on Camping World, and you'll look at the article and like, oh, this is great information. I can post this, and well, you can take ideas off of that, just like doing a research paper in school. And so you can use that information for education wise, but you need to take what you learn, make your own notes, spin that into your own words, so it is your own style, and that's not.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that next.
Issue.
So branding. You need to create a brand for your business. That's going to be your unique thing that identifies your business in the minds of the target market. So when they see it, they know it's your business, and that makes them feel a certain way. So that's going to be a combination of the colors you use, the fonts, the way you write, the type of information you provide. And your branding should be consistent across all the platforms. And when someone works with you in person, they get the same feeling about you in person as they do when they've seen your stuff online. So you definitely want to have a brand for your business. When you look at other businesses and you're like, hey, I like what they're doing there, take elements from other businesses, but you got to put your own spin on it, your own style, and make stuff your own.
Because everyone's unique, so what you're producing on your marketing should be unique as well.
Yes. So good example of this that most of you should know is like, we are not going to have Steve's 2-minute Tech Tip Tuesdays.
Yes.
Now, Todd makes videos about RV everything and tips, and we make videos about tips, but our videos are completely different than Todd's. So you have like the same idea, you're making a video, yeah, everyone does that, but put your own spin on things. Okay, now that was the add-on. We're going to get into...
All right, here we go.
Gosh, how many? There's like a whole thing here. You guys had so many questions. These are the frequently asked questions submitted. We're going to go through these. I'm going to try to look at the comments coming in, and we'll stop and answer those. So if you do have questions while we're talking about these, feel free to chime in, and then I'll catch them and answer.
If it's something that's random, we'll circle back to that at the end of all the frequently asked questions.
Okay, and I organize these by topic, so they should flow together pretty good. What type of marketing research do you do when you are choosing your next campground or location to go to?
Well, I want to see what kind of market is there. So I'm looking at how many RV parks are in that area within a general driving distance. And then I'll search through those RV parks and see how many spots each one has. If there's 10 RV parks and each one has 10 spots, well, that's not a lot of RVs. But 10 RV parks and they all have 100 to 200 spots, well, there's a lot more potential customers in that area.
And when we do that research, we use RV Trip Wizard. You can see they have all the information. Really easy to see.
Yeah, you can search the campgrounds around a certain radius and go through and click them. You can see how many spots are at each location. And then also need to know that you're not going to be the only person in town, most likely, but you do need to research that how many other techs are in the area, because if there's a whole bunch of other techs that are already servicing people, there's going to be a lot more competition. So knowing the whole big picture of how many potential customers you have, how much competition you have, and how many RV dealers are around. So there's a whole big picture. If you go to the middle of nowhere, there might be, maybe you are the only person that shows up there within a 3-mile radius, but there's not a lot of customers typically because it might be one small campground.
So with that, we would search the tech locator because you'd see the certified techs. Obviously, there's other techs out there, and you can kind of search. Sometimes Google might bring it up if you say RV techs in the city, it'll bring up some stuff. But with the dealers too, if, they're going to have techs, but they also have parts. And a lot of times you need that relationship with the dealer that if you're not around anywhere that has parts, you're going to have a harder time getting the parts. So you want to consider that too.
The place we're going to stay at, or the couple of campgrounds, I will call them and let them know we're coming in the area, we're a mobile tech, we're going to be working there. Can we work there? Is there any rules against that? And how much of a demand is there? Do they want us in there? And if sometimes when you talk to them and they're, please, yes, we need you, there's a big demand. Sometimes they're like, oh, okay, sure, go ahead. So you can get that vibe when you talk to them.
Okay, question number 2. Do you have agreements with campgrounds that you work in, or would you have some kind of agreement that would prevent another tech from coming in and setting up shop?
No, we don't do any sort of agreements or contracts for any sole, exclusiveness or any sort. Because there's plenty of work that needs to be done. We can't do it all. Customers in those RV parks probably already have someone working in their RV, and it's there's an open market back and forth. If they need work and they call us, that's great. I've had RV parks where the neighbor next to me, we're staying there. They have their normal RV guy come in and fix their RV, and it doesn't matter to me. We're not there all the time. They've had a relationship with them. That's great. If they need something, they know we're always there. But they don't have to, solely only call that person. I'd feel slimy if that was the case. Personally, if I wouldn't let someone else show up because I made a contract with the RV park.
Don wants to know we're going to start offering franchises. No, we are not. There's a business in Tennessee that is doing that. We are not. After our last business, we didn't want any employees, and we don't want to deal with anything. We just want to do work, and we're good. But I would be really good at franchising. That's what the whole book, The E-Myth, is about.
Yeah.
But no, I want to go enjoy the beach and go enjoy our time and not do all that. But that is a good way. If someone is interested in franchising and you want to do all that, there's a whole bunch of techs that need business help. Okay, how do you figure out the price for the area you're servicing? Or do you just stay with one price regardless of where you're at?
So this would go back to the same research factor of how many techs are around. And it's not just certified techs, it's looking at all of the techs that are around those areas. And call them up, look at their websites and see what is on there. We'll be honest though, a lot of people's websites don't have the information posted that are transparent. Some do, which is great, and some do not. But you can also call the local dealerships, ask their shop rates, taking in a factor of what your skills are worth. There might be other non-certified techs around, and you're a certified tech. You might have 20 years experience doing different things.
I just keep looking at you. It's hard.
Okay, I'm looking at the camera.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I tried, but it's really hard just to stare at this camera.
It is, because I like looking at ourselves to see what's going on.
I know.
And so the moral of the story is figure out supply and demand. If there's not many techs, short supply, it's going to be higher demand, which is a higher price. If there's a whole bunch of techs around, it's going to be less demand, which means you'll have a lesser price that you're going to charge. And I don't lower my price in areas that there's a bunch of techs around, especially when to try to get business, I want to be the cheapest person in town. We'll talk, about referrals and how to get business in a little bit. But when there's non-certified techs around and I'm a certified tech and I have lots of other background and experience, usually my job, overall big picture, is cheaper than the next person if we're charging the same rate because I'm much quicker at doing jobs. So once a customer experiences that, they realize, oh my gosh, Steve took care of my issues and did it quickly, and the other guy was there 3 hours because he wasn't trained in any of these aspects. So I want you to come back and do all the stuff because yes, you cost more per hour, but you cost less per job.
We're going to see how many cats can make an appearance and make noise. We had one chewing food. We got one with the cardboard in the bag. This is their grass time, and they're going to let us know. Who are your most valuable and your most costly customers?
Well, the most valuable would be ones that provide lots of referrals and repeat business.
Like if you watch the marketing video, you would see one person referred 13 people.
Yeah, and those are great customers to have.
Very valuable customer.
They realize how valuable you are, and they want to share you to their friends. But a lot of times I get customers that share us, refer us out a lot. Okay, I'm referring you out, but make sure you always come back and service me. Don't get too busy where you forget about me.
Yeah.
They've worried about that before.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a big concern.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a concern for the people farther out because we want to service the people very close to us.
Correct.
So I can see that. Okay, and the costly customers? I don't know. I was talking.
Oh, the costly customers would be the ones that are further out, or jobs that take a ton of time, or a lot of research and phone calls and parts ordering. If it's things that I do every day and I have the parts in stock, those jobs in general are easy because I don't have to do a lot of extra work and it's just everyday business. When it's something that's unique and out of the ordinary, it takes extra time to research and order the parts, put lists together just for that one particular job. Sometimes you get in the middle of situations, and I think it's going to be a good idea, and you have to cut your losses and refund back money possibly, and go your own way because it's not worth the time into it because it's one, too far away, the project's too complicated, you can't get parts for it. So, and I have a couple of those jobs that we've had to do before.
Well, some of it he likes to do because he wants to see how hard it actually is to do, and he wants the challenge and to do it once and be like, would I ever want to do this again? So he'll take those just because of that. But if you only took jobs, like say someone called about a water heater and a furnace and tracing electricity and AC, if you only took those jobs, you would, like 99% of the time, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But when people call with the really odd stuff, and you're like, okay, I know if I do this job, it's going to start eating my personal time, and I'm not going to have this time off this week, and it's going to eat jobs that I could be doing for other people. So sometimes those people are like, they don't want to pay the whole thing, and it's like, well, if I take you, it's going to take 6 hours, and you only want to pay 3 or something, where I could take 3 other jobs, 2 hours each, knock them out really quick, and I'm done. I don't have to do any research. So you got to weigh those kind of things.
Yeah, I like projects, but I also need to realize that I need to do my own personal projects, not customers' projects.
Everyone remember that he said that when I'm complaining that my honey to-do list is growing. Okay, what parts of the business are non-profitable? Which ones can you avoid, and which ones are just part of doing the business?
I think I know what I want to say on this. Yeah, is manufacturers and warranty. I guess I can call it battles or issues. Now,
that's a good one.
When you get into the middle of the warranty situations, and let's say it's a part you work on all the time, it's a water heater or a furnace. It was installed in a coach that was 2 years old, and so it's still within warranty of the part, and it's still within warranty of the manufacturer. And the customer is like, well, I have warranty on this, furnace. This thing should work. The manufacturer will say it's the Suburban, if they're the manufacturer of the furnace fault. And Suburban will say, no, it was installed wrong because they don't have proper voltage to it or enough airflow, ductwork is wrong, those type of things. Go out there and check this, check that, check this, report back. It's actually a job right now I'm in the middle of for a slide out in a frame issue where there's obvious issues throughout the RV, and the manufacturer sent me out there to document information. When they gave me a list of stuff, I said, well, who's going to pay for this time? Because I'm not doing it for free, and the customer's underneath warranty on this. So they did the first hour to cover that part. I went out there, documented all the stuff, sent the report in, did what I was supposed to do on that. And they said, okay, that didn't show us anything. Now we have a full other list for you to do. I'm like, okay, who's paying for this? Well, not us. We already paid for 1 hour. That's all we're going to do. So now I have to tell the customer, like, hey, if you want me to continue forward, the bill is going to be on your dime for that. Or it might be best to take us to a dealership, and they can put it out there in the lot, and they can do all these little tests that the manufacturer wants them to do.
That's a good thing. You learned last year after doing some manufacturer warranty jobs that we heard they were a pain in the butt, so we took different types to see them, and then you experience them to know what we're going to do. So always ask the manufacturer right up front. Say, who's paying for this? Because you're going to learn most of the time they're going to be like, oh, I'm not. I just want you to keep going out there and doing this stuff. So then
and there is some manufacturers that will do a mobile fee occasionally and different things. So ask them about that, mobile fees, of what they're fully going to cover. Don't just do the, yes, okay, I'll do it. Like, push back a little bit so you know what you're doing, so you're clear with them and be clear with the customer, because it's certainly beneficial for both you and the customer to be clear and upfront about the whole situation, so everyone knows where things are going. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it might be cheaper just to pay out of pocket and replace the piece and be done with it versus all the diagnostic time back and forth for something that's only a couple $100 part.
You're talking about the customer pay out of pocket.
Correct.
Yeah. And so with that, after we took a whole bunch of different types of warranty jobs, we adjusted our warranty pricing, and we know what to tell the customer up front, so they know, if it's something that's like a $500 repair, that you say it's actually probably going to be cheaper for you if you just pay the $500 and not try to do warranty, because they're just going to have a whole bunch of fees of me driving out here and diagnosing stuff, and they're probably not going to pay for it anyways. But we made up that list and we put it in our Facebook subscribers group under the pricing discount something schedule sheet. You can see what we do for warranties and that what's working for our business, so this way we're not losing money out. But with all that, we got to be upfront with the customer right away so they know, because they think, I bought this, it's under warranty, it should be free, and it's not free.
I can do warranty work for different manufacturers and bill them directly. And sometimes it's pretty simple, cut and dry. Yes, it's an approval process, and they are usually long, drawn-out processes that if you move often, you probably won't do a lot of manufacturer warranty because it's going to be a
Yeah.
month at least on some of those things. But extended warranties, those are easy, cut and dry. You do the claim process and fill it out, which is much different than manufacturer component warranties.
And with that, we did make our time. We have an admin fee on our website, which you can see on our schedule page, which is $100 an hour, billed in 15-minute increments. And with all service calls, we say 15 minutes are free with anything. That's for searching parts, calling things. And that's what that means, because we want people to know when they're looking at our pricing and when we explain it to them that it might be an hour and a half on the phone and this is our pricing and we have it listed. And we also need it listed for the warranty people to say that
Correct.
we charge for this.
They will search your website to verify what you're charging them is correct.
Yeah.
And like for example, I had a part the other day. It wasn't a standard everyday part. I had to call Dometic to figure out what I needed, and it was about a 10-minute phone call. So that was easy. Figured out what the part number was, ordered it, got it coming, customer's taken care of. We didn't have to do anything special for that.
How do you keep track of customers and jobs that have multiple steps for the repair process? For an example, when you're awaiting diagnosis, arrival time for parts, waiting for an estimate to be approved, installation, etc. As we gain more customers and jobs, it's getting harder to make sure that things don't slip through the cracks.
So this is House Call Pro. That is our CRM, which is a customer resource management tool. So all of the customers are in there as far as the basic stuff, their name, address, phone number, that information. But all their jobs are with those customers as well. So if we start a job with a customer and we need to, let's say, create an estimate to start with, I can create an estimate, figure out the pricing of all those things that they need to order awning, what that is, shipping, installation, labor, mileage, and send it over to the customer. They can approve it. And once they approve it, I can turn that into a job. Now that job has different segments onto it. I can do the special order for the parts because they pay for those, the special order part that we ordered. And if I had to go out to the job first initially, maybe that's segment 1. And now we have segment 2, 3, 4. I've had up to 10 segments on one job before. That was a real long, drawn-out job just because it needed to order parts and do this and other things. It was a unique situation last year, but that's pretty rare. It's pretty typical on some jobs, about 2 to 3 segments with them. If you have to go out to the job initially and then you have to turn around and order, say, an air conditioner, and then they are paying for the air conditioner before you order it. Mm-hmm. So that would be your 3 segments. You have the initial diagnostics, special order part, and then segment 3 would be the finished job.
Basically, the CRM, you just dump everything into it. It's organized and you can find it. Right now, we have just picture of a calendar in front of you. We have jobs on each of the days, and then we have unscheduled jobs over here on our CRM. That means we haven't put them on our calendar. And then we have a whole bunch in Michigan that are sitting out, but we don't have them on a specific day. We just put them all on one day, and we know that we got to move all those little jobs over depending on the weather in Michigan. For one, we have to make sure that we can de-winterize when we get there, that it's not going to be freezing still at night. It should be pretty good when we get there. And then when they're going to be home. So we have around 50 jobs on our calendar right now. And if we had all that on paper notes, it would be a hot mess. So that's what we were saying in the beginning of this video, that we set our business up with the correct software so we didn't have all the weight and all the chaos going on. So we have 50 jobs. There's a whole bunch going on, but it's all nicely organized. And whenever we need to do certain segments, the ones in Houston, we're doing Michigan, he's calling them and finding out their schedules, when they're going to be at the RV parks, when they're coming up for the weekend, all that. And then he can start moving those jobs around on our CRM schedule.
And your situation might be different, but how we do it, Erica and I both have a login to House Call Pro. My color is green, hers is purple. I'll leave it tagged as Erica and purple on the schedule if they're not officially scheduled yet. Once they're green, they have a set date, time, arrival window that we're going to be there.
That's our little workaround, because we have so many jobs. It's not like you just have 3 jobs on the schedule and you know when you're going to do them. I mean, when we get back to Michigan, people want stuff done.
And I probably have more jobs here when we're in Texas floating at the purple because they're at the RV park. I can just go do them whenever.
Yeah,
so I fill in my schedule based on what the weather is that day in other parts.
And the people are living
calls
here,
in between.
and so they're not moving. It's they're just like, whenever you can clean my AC, that's fine. I don't care. And so they're just purple, and when we have time. So that's when you look around the schedule. But in Michigan, a lot of them, not the same people in Michigan would have the same type of thing if they're seasonal, but the people who are traveling through and they need a specific time, that's when we make them yours. They're scheduled. We know that we got to be there that day.
Like right now, we have some jobs that are booked out in June and July because this matches up with the person's vacation, and we have it booked. Plus, we have buffer days in there. We know they're going to be there for 5 days. We schedule on the first day for it, but we'll pencil in a couple notes on the next couple days just in case there is bad weather, so we can make sure we take care of them in that window that they gave us.
Okay, next question. What payment methods do you accept? Do you accept payment plans like Affirm?
Our payment methods are a credit card or cash, occasionally check. We do get more checks in Michigan because some people will whip the checkbook out before they even ask we take a check. They're the type of people that's what they pay with all the time and they're not worried about it. If we take checks, we'd like the person to be local, whether they're local in the area that we're serving or they're local, like say if they're in Texas and they're our neighbor and wrote us a check, I know where they live because they're next to us. So we get asked quite often, more so in Texas, about Venmo or Cash App, and when I tell them I have a card reader, I can take payment, and they're like, oh great. So people are always kind of a little leery on that, so I probably should explain that more when you talk over the phone of how they can take payment, but it's never an issue because we can easily take payment just like anywhere they can buy groceries or gas for it. But if you have unique payment methods, I certainly would be upfront with a customer because they might not have Cash App or Venmo or cash if you don't take a credit card or something like that. So make sure if you don't have a standard system that you're upfront so the customer is aware.
So we don't do anything like Affirm, and I don't know because I was reading these. We don't use a Cash App. We could, and our bank does not allow Venmo. So, but we haven't had an issue for people to pay. They just whip out a different form of payment. What are the benefits of using CompanyCam compared to House Call Pro attachments?
I haven't used the House Call Pro attachments.
Wasn't the attachment just the photo?
I think so. I use CompanyCam because I can edit the photos, create reports, and those photos also sent over to House Call Pro. They're integrated on the back end. So after I do a job and if I take a bunch of photos, I'll see those in the bottom left corner of House Call Pro in that job. And CompanyCam is much easier. I actually really like the app because it has the flashlight version on the app, so I can have a flashlight and a camera at the same time, so I can see things and get better photos. Much better using a flash because many things in RVs are dark when you're on them. So I don't know the negative part to House Call Pro attachments. I just know the benefits of CompanyCam.
I just think it's an attachment. I don't think the whole reporting thing, that's what we use it for.
I think you can upload a document like a PDF, but I don't think...
Well, CompanyCam is made to quickly whip out reports, and it's very quick and easy. If you have never seen our report, you can go to our schedule page, go to either Michigan or Texas, and at the very bottom it says what to expect, and there's an example of our job report, and that's what we use for CompanyCam, and we give every customer who make a job report for them using CompanyCam. And I don't think you can do that with House Call Pro, and if you could, it would be a long time.
And Jason says, how do you handle the credit card fees, pass it on, or cash discount? We assume people are going to pay with credit card when we do jobs. Occasionally, if it's a large job, if they're paying cash or with a check, and we'll give them a break if they're a repeat good customer or something like that, based on whatever their credit card fee would be. So, but typical everyday jobs, that's not normal at all.
What do you need to improve on in your business? Well, we just talked about having all those jobs scheduled out months in advance. This is what we need to improve on.
Yeah, on our system, we have the job scheduled, a long ways in advance. So it's off, I don't have to think about it again. And with that part is I don't follow up with that customer, I'll say if they're booked 2 months ahead of time, when it gets close to the job, just to confirm on their schedule. I'll be like, okay, we're still coming on Monday at 10 o'clock. Is that good with your schedule? Sometimes they will reach out to us and ask when it gets close to that job time, but I will tell them if I book a long ways in advance, feel free to follow up and confirm the appointment as it gets closer, because you're not going to bother me if that's the case. Once my schedule starts filling in, when it gets closer to that time frame, I might not remember of who I scheduled 2 months ago and who I scheduled 2 weeks ago.
Tom Hill has a question here. He says, Steve, when you get a call for an RV that you're unfamiliar with, do you research the system prior to showing up? The reason I ask is because your reviews, a lot of customers say that you're knowledgeable and mention that you're knowledgeable.
So if the customer has an issue, I always figure out over the phone of what's going on with the RV. So if it's something that's unique, I'll have them send me pictures of what their system is, so I can research it and have the manuals on hand for something that is not a normal everyday job, because there's a lot of things with RVs that are unique and not normal. And but a lot of things are electricity and power flow to figure things out. So I am quick at figuring out electrical problems for following the power flow of how things work. Erica always says I'm weird how I can visually picture how things work in my head.
Not weird. You just go like, dee-dee-dee-dee, and it's fun. And I'm
so
like,
when the customer...
Step one, RV.
So when I talk to them over the phone, I'm picturing what's going on, where the switches are, how the power is going through. When I get out of the truck, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm pinpointing on to start checking things inside that RV of how things operate. So it's a lot of that is my unique previous experience, and some of that is other RV experience and just how I'm wired for that. But research beforehand, if you don't know, certainly would help to be more fluent with what you're working with once you're there.
I would say, though, you research a lot of RVs. And before an inspection, he always watches video walkthroughs to learn where stuff is, which is very helpful. I'm addicted to Lance truck campers. I want one, but even though I don't need one because I'm not going anywhere to use one, but I have dreams. And I don't want to pay $60,000 for a truck camper I'm going to use like once in 3 years. You know, it's stupid. But we were inspecting one, and he's looking for that little sticker. I forgot what the sticker is. And when he finally found it, I was like, oh, I actually knew where that was because I saw it in the video. So small things like that for watching walkthrough videos to know where they locate or where they, put something specific. He's
especially new RVs in general, where they hide light switches in certain spots. If you watch a video, that person, you can figure out what that light switch is, or how a table operates if it's a unique thing. Some of those things are just like, I could figure this out, but if I watch someone do it, I can save time.
And for an inspection, it's very important because they take a long time. They're intense, and he goes a little slower because he's a little more anal, because he's like, I want to make sure that this is working correctly. He doesn't just say, nope, it didn't work. Next, he makes sure it works. And so then he has me trying to find like small things like light switches and that. So, but he does research.
Which I will say, with that, knowing how things work, is I was meeting with another inspector recently when I was in Fort Worth, and they were talking about their tech and know how things operate, and they've had some dealers that don't let other inspectors inspect there anymore because they check it quick and they just pencil whip it, but they check it and they don't know how it works, so they say it doesn't work, which gives a bad report, and the customer might not buy the RV. Where if you kind of know how the system works a little bit to make sure, is this supposed to work this way? Am I operating it wrong? So that's why I always take a little bit longer, just to make sure that I'm not writing it up incorrectly.
Older Class A motorhomes, a lot like they're not like they're not motorhomes, but how RVs are built today. Older motorhomes are very nice still, so they're around, but a lot of their systems aren't around anymore, so we don't know how to use them. So that one that you did here, you went and got the owner of the RV and asked him how it worked, and because you thought it wasn't working correctly, but it was working fine.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that takes a little bit longer to make sure that it's actually working, just because he didn't know how it works, because it's not something that you find in systems that are new.
And sometimes it might be best off anyway, especially in a private party sale, to have the seller operate things like leveling systems and slide outs, because if there is an issue with it, if it breaks and they touch the button, they broke it. If you're out there operating it yourself and it breaks, it might not be your fault, but it's put you in a tough spot.
How do you pay for cat treats? How do you pay yourself? How do you plan for taxes? I use QuickBooks Online, but it's not as straightforward as I thought.
Well, I've been using QuickBooks for quite a few years now, so I'm familiar with how the system works.
We owned a business for 10 years previous, so at least 10 years before this business, you've been using it.
Yeah, and I had to do payroll for customers, and with being this is it, the 2 employees, 2 owners, all the money is basically yours as it goes through. You need to track how you do it. So any money that gets paid from the business to personal, we just set a budget, and that's what we're going to pay ourselves. And if I move money over, I save taxes, because end of the year, we need to make sure we take care of any taxes, and the accountant handles all those parts of it. If you're an LLC or an S Corp, things will be different in how you pay yourself that way. So your accountant will definitely help you along for that stuff. But I will say, just make sure you save money for taxes and allocate, because you don't want to be having to deal with a big tax bill when it gets to be the end of the year because you didn't save that money ahead of time.
Jimmy says, thanks for all your helpful videos. I'm paraphrasing here. He's in the RV industry and looking to expand his knowledge, especially in electrical. I'm currently looking to get certified to do mobile repair. Any advice? My advice would be to watch all the videos on our YouTube channel, Radar Road Warriors, and after this video's over, I will comment on everybody with the links. And for the mobile RV tech services business, and it talks about the NRV TA, is that the right acronym? And goes through the school, and I would definitely go through the school, and they have an electricity course, but those videos will give you tons of advice and things to think about. Do you deduct for travel expenses, RV, truck, computer, phones, internet, tools, RV parks, cat treats? And how do you keep track of each transaction?
Careful with that CT word. Every time you say that, Squeak over here turns his head. Yes, if you're operating a business, things that are expenses to operate the business are things you can deduct on your taxes. Work with your accountant on these type of things for all your specifics. But in general, if you have a phone, you're using it for business, yes, deduction. If you're using fuel to drive to customers' jobs, that's mileage expense, deduction. You figure it out on your taxes that way. But if we're traveling, let's say from Texas to Michigan, that is our personal trip back and forth, so that is out of our regular personal home budget that we pay for fuel going those trips for. So just make sure business expenses are paid through a business checking account. That way things are separately. And I use QuickBooks to track all my receipts, and I put all that stuff in right away whether I order a part from a wholesaler or I go to Home Depot and I buy some general supplies. I put those receipts in, track it right away, and I throw the receipt out once I'm done with it.
Those are some videos we can do in the future in the subscriber group.
Yeah.
Like showing, like, this is how I do the process. People just like to see it. Do you have a sales tax license? We're having problems with ordering parts from suppliers because we don't have one.
Yes, I had a sales tax license with our last business, so I've had the same number for a long time. And definitely get yourself a sales tax license, whatever the main state your business is registered in. That's where you want to start. If you do work in other states for a long period of time, you would want to look at those states as well in a sales tax license. Let's just say you're based out of Ohio, and that's where your sales tax license is, and you travel to North Carolina for the winters, and you might not have a sales tax license in North Carolina, and a lot of those companies, they'll pick that up when you're ordering parts, that if they ship them to your home base location in Ohio, they won't charge you sales tax, but you can set the account up that way. But then if you move to North Carolina, they will charge you sales tax when they ship you out that part. Definitely work with your accountant on these things to make sure you are charging the correct amount, collecting the right sales tax, all of those items, because ultimately when something is sold, sales tax is charged on it. So if you bought somebody's sales tax and you sell that part again and mark it up, there's sales tax involved in there again. So make sure you're doing all that stuff properly. I'm not an accountant, so I can't get into the weeds on those type of things, but I do know if you don't do it right, you can have a headache, because I've seen people go down that road before.
Kathy says, how do you handle difficult dealers who don't want to cooperate with you? Have you ever had to refund a payment for an inspection but not done because the dealer won't allow you to be there? Kind of that, but opposite.
Yeah, kind of similar. We had a dealer that was difficult to work with a customer, and was doing some shady stuff, and it got to be a slimy feeling with it. And we told the customer, we have no problem refunding back your money minus any credit card fees that were involved into this process if you want to not go forward with it. And the same would be, I always tell people the same thing on inspections, that once I get into the inspection, I'll start the day before on my research, preparing the report. And when I drive out there, and if I find something major with the RV that's wrong, then let's say a major water leak, or the engine doesn't start, the generator's blowing up or something like that, and the customer says that's a no-go, we'll figure out whatever time we have into that and prorate it and refund back to the customer for that, because we do business as we would like to be treated the same way. We're not out there to take people's money and keep it. I feel that karma comes around full circle, and if you take care of people, it just works out better.
So with the slimy one, what happened was the woman called us. She was from like New York or something, was gonna get this RV. I think it was October 30th. It was a Saturday. we were scheduled to do the inspection like on Tuesday or Wednesday the next week because that's when we were available. And the salesperson tried to get her to close the deal before the end of the month and told her, buy it or get off the pot. And then she was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have an inspection set up next week. I want to buy this. Like, why are you doing this? So, I mean...
Yeah, we were inspecting it on Monday or Tuesday, and she was flying in towards the end of the week.
Yeah, she had everything set up, and they just wanted sale before the end of the month. And they were like, well, that's good to know because we're not going to drop our business cards off at this dealer anymore because they're handing them out to people, and we just don't want to do business with them. Can you explain how you chose your work van? Did you buy new, used, to save money? Explain, please.
Well, my ultimate work vehicle I wanted was it's called a Rockport Workport cargo box, which is basically a box truck that has a bunch of doors and storage on the side of it to access things, and workbench inside, a big cube van, but the thing would be just too huge to fit into our normal service area. And the campgrounds that we normally service in Michigan are smaller campgrounds. The roads are narrow. I'm not even sure how people fit their RVs down these roads to park them without hitting any parked cars.
Yeah, people have to move their cars out of the way. You know, it's small and a mess. You can picture it. I need to be as skinny and slim as possible to fit into these areas where I can drive up to someone's RV and get off the road so someone else can still get around me on that same road. So that's why we went with the van. It's a Ford Transit high version van. I can stand up inside of it, which gives me plenty of storage space and the shelves on the inside. It's longer and skinnier, so that way I'm not taking up extra width inside those parks. We need to be skinnier than the dually because we used the dually last year in there and we were too big. So we need to have a smaller footprint.
Yes. And a lot of times we have to fold the mirrors up to fit in some of those spots. Mm-hmm. So once I park, I'll fold the mirrors up. That way it's skinnier for people to get through. Because it always seems, the way my luck has it, when the spot is empty next to the person I'm working on, and then here comes the camper coming to set up, at that next spot, and they have to move my work vehicle, and then the customer has to move one of their vehicles out of the way so I can park in their spot, jockey things around, or if I can just park there to start with, and then I can just keep working the job.
And we also got exactly what he wanted because he's going to be living in the van because when he goes on the road, like, he's gone all day. And so I want him to be comfortable and not have back issues. So we got, like, luxury inside, whatever the truck has. I don't know what the package is, but, like...
It basically has the upgraded seats into it.
Yeah.
I could have got a rickety van that bounces on the road and things rattle and you feel like you're going to die. But I didn't want to do that because I'm going to be living in that van basically throughout the summer. But I did get one that was a couple years old, so I didn't have to take the initial hit on it for a new price. And
we've been a one-car family, basically. When I came into our last business, I sold my vehicles because I was going to be living at home, working from home. We had a home at the business. And we always had a junk vehicle around that I could drive, or he could drive, and I would at least take our vehicle. And then we went on the road. We were really a one-vehicle family. So once we got a house last year, using the truck to do all the service calls, and the truck gone all the time, and I was not in town where I could walk to anywhere. The two RV parks that we could fit in were both 13 miles away from the grocery store. So we could hardly get groceries last year. It was very stressful. So we needed a second vehicle. So he, instead of buying me a vehicle, because I only need a vehicle like once or twice a week, I'll drive the dually to doctor's appointments in the grocery store if I need it, and then he'll be in the work van. Mm-hmm. How do you handle warranty services?
We touched on this earlier, and the customer will typically tell you if they have a warranty on their RV. You can figure it out if the RV is pretty much new and they have an issue with it, and you can weed out what you're going to do with it. You will get experience knowing of which manufacturers are easy to work with, which ones are not. And if the customer needs their RV fixed, if you're upfront with them, let them know, like, hey, this manufacturer is really hard to work with. Yes, we can get it fixed, but it's going to be 2 months down the road. You might be better off to pay for it out of pocket and then submit that to the manufacturer. But I always tell them to contact the manufacturer first, start the claim, because that has to be started no matter what, whether we do a full warranty claim or they submit for payment, however that's going to work. But if it's a extended warranty, we will call up that warranty company for the claim because we have to call them to tell them about the diagnostics, what the cost of parts are, how much labor it's going to be. Then we file with that extended warranty company right away. But those companies are quick, where they usually, within 1 to 2 days, they will follow up with a credit card to pay for that.
That's extended. Who foots the bill or waits? Like when you're waiting on money for all the other warranties, does you make the customer pay, or do you wait on it?
If it's a manufacturer that is good and reliable, like Lippert, I'll get paid for them. If they give me the approval, I don't have a problem sending in the stuff and following the paperwork to fill it out, and I'll get paid depending on their billing cycle. Sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes it's 2 weeks that you'll get paid. Like Grand Design, they'll send a check within 2 weeks. Alliance is the same way. Some manufacturers take a little bit longer getting the billing cycle, but this is also tracked in House Call Pro if all the jobs are hanging out there. So if I have a bill and it's taking a little while, and I had this last year with a couple of manufacturers be like, hey, what's going on with it? I got paid on all of those, but you just have to track them for the long run.
We're sitting on Daisy's bench, so we're not bouncing around. She's trying to look out the window. All the cats are like, what are you doing? You disrupted our house. Okay, this is me. Do you run any advertisements? On what platforms? What types of ads work for you? So far, the only ads I have ran would be for Google, and I do $150 a month and just let it run. I used to run Facebook ads for my last business. He's mad. Can you put him out while I'm doing this? Sorry, the children. So I used to run Facebook ads for our last business. I haven't done that for this business. I don't need to. I'm not opposed to it. But I haven't paid for any ads, subscribers, or boosting posts. In organic traffic, what works best is showing people how to perform the work. So on all our videos that we're showing people how to do stuff, and they're not around us and they want to fix it themselves, they can fix it, and our future customers look and see that, oh, well, he can fix about everything. So they call us, and they've already proven we can fix stuff. So I'd say that is the best way. And then on those videos, I use hashtags. But the best form of advertisement is when you fix somebody's RV and they're super excited about it, and they're in the RV park and they're like a seasonal camper, and they go tell all their friends, oh my gosh, Steve was amazing, he fixed this, no one else has been able to fix it, or he was so quick, or whatever it is. Getting people to talk about you to their friends naturally is the best form of advertisement. And sometimes we just did this. People don't realize how good it is doing business with you if you have a good business until they use somebody else. So we're always like, yeah, use someone else, experience what it's like using other people. I did that with our shirts. I've used the same shirt company for years for their last business. When we started the business and I got my first order of shirts, it was just easy to do it online, and I didn't want to bug the other people. And the end product came out great. Everything in between was a complete nightmare. We actually had some PTSD ordering new shirts where I'm like, I know this isn't going to happen, Jared, but like our heart's pounding, everything's going to be messed up. And so far it's been great again because we're using someone who we know who has great customer service and has attention to detail, or will just read a sentence and do what the sentence says. I don't have an issue with someone else going, using somebody else, experiencing it, and then they see everything else that we do when we go there, and they're like, wow, I didn't get this, or this. And how do you promote Google reviews? Are there other forms of reviews that we should be aware of? Well, for our Google review link, our CRM, House Call Pro, sends a link out to everybody after the job's finished, and it asks for a review. So we get that, and Steve will say, hey, I'm hitting finish, you're going to get a review link, please fill that out, I'd appreciate it. And then on our website, where it has all those reviews, that is being sucked from our Google reviews and Facebook and a couple other places. It takes all those reviews and puts them on our website. How did you increase your Google search ranking? Right now, I'm currently working on fixing the SEO on the website. I have got it a lot better.
She's actually in a webinar today, right?
Yep. I watch all the Wix webinars. Wix is who I made the website on, and they have monthly webinars and learn different things, and I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. It's way over my head. And then I go research the topic. I researched SEO and then found a whole bunch of things I was doing wrong and just fixed a whole bunch of things, and then re-indexed the pages using the Google Search Console and learned a whole bunch of stuff along the way. And some of my stuff is definitely ranking now and coming up, where I'm like, look, we come up in Houston, because I did some stuff on my website. Also, you need to completely fill out your Google business profile. If you want to come up higher on Google, fill out that profile. And then write updates and answer every email that they send out, that Google sends out at the holidays, and I talked about this in the marketing video. Reply to your reviews, and all of this shows Google that you're an active business, and it will boost your listing up higher. And this is the last one that goes with it. What are the keywords for SEO that you find work best? Okay, well, first of all, I watched something on Wix, I think it was, and I was like, oh, and they had some kind of software that like got keywords that people were searching. So I'm like, I'm gonna put those keywords in the back end of my website, where they give you like 5 words to embed on your website. And so I did some like mobile RV tech near me or something. And about a week later, our phone started ringing all throughout Michigan. People that we could never even service, way outside of our area. And it bogged our phone down and wasted a whole bunch of our time. And I was like, why are all these people calling? And then I was like, oh, where did I put those words on my website? And I took all those words out and then just put my basic ones. So I use on my Google, on the words on my website and on my Google ads, just like RV repair, RV maintenance, mobile RV tech, those basic ones. But when people are searching and what comes up that it says, Google will say like this search term took this much money because people searched it. They're searching mobile RV tech near me or different things specific to them, but Google is finding our page and attaching it because all my stuff's filled out. So I'm just putting in the basic keywords, but people are putting in like RV tech near me, mobile RV technician, things like that, but that's not the keyword that I'm using. And then the other thing I would say, if you have a website like Wix, I'm sure other websites do it too, they have an SEO checklist that you go through, and it's like 30 things, and then it has 5 different pages that I went through and fixed every single error that they said was on my list, and that also helps your search rankings.
How do you limit your liability risk when doing electrical work? I am not an electrician. Is make sure things are wired up the way they should be wired up throughout RVs, where your grounds and neutrals are isolated, things are grounded, connections are tight. This is where CompanyCam comes in, where I document the work that I do. Even if it comes down to something, I'll say there's a torque spec on it, I'll take a picture of the torque wrench when I'm doing it to say that this was tightened down to the proper torque spec for a certain thing, maybe on a converter or in a breaker box, if things call out for that, if you're doing especially unique work in those situations. Just making sure you're not doing things that are not up to any sort of a code. There isn't much of a code in RVs, but I think about houses, making sure wiring is secure, things are in junction boxes, wire nuts are taped, not loose connections, all those type of things that I have never had issue with any work that I've done on RVs for any callbacks of loose connections or issues that way. I fixed many of those things, but I haven't had issues on work I've done.
Okay, now I'm the person going to the NRVTA to the electricity class. Do they teach you that stuff in electricity class?
You get overview into basics of electricity at NRVTA. If you're looking to learn more about electricity, you would benefit of learning and researching before you go there, because they will teach you things on how to trace down what you're physically working on, all those type of things, so you're fluent in that appliance, how that works and how the power flow is. But when they start talking about power flow and electricity, if you're like, wait a minute, how does this work? You're going to be stuck on step number 1 when they're already on step number 5, because you're learning as you go on that part. And there's people and videos out there that can teach you things on that, and I don't have any particular resources. I've just learned it over the years.
And I will say, for people to be like, oh, how'd you learn all this? He actually wired the whole racetrack at our last business when we built our tower. He had an electrician friend who would come check it off, like the permits, make sure it was done right, and he would ask him a couple questions, but he did everything. So he's had lots of experience doing this. And quick story, why don't you tell about when the lights went off and you and your brother did all the generators?
Okay, so the racetrack property, it's 3/8 mile track, so it's a large property, big light poles around, and we couldn't get the full power into the property, so we ran off a generator for the first year, and the generator broke, like the physical transmission coupler piece broke inside of it. So that was just before dark, so the lights went out, we had no power. I rewired all of the electrical boxes by borrowing generators from the race car drivers, wired up the light poles individually, so I would power up this light pole off of generator A, generator B over there, wire things together and splice it up. Took around an hour and a half, and we had lights going again, plus a couple light towers that people got from a local town for us to finish the night off. It was partially dark in some areas, but we could see what we were doing, and we had power, so it was quick action to think about that. I knew how things were wired because I was involved with the wiring process to put everything together, so it was easy for me to figure out what the process was.
Roscoe wants your food. I put it over there so you couldn't hear it, but she can't find it, and so she's over here bashing everything, and there's a fire extinguisher that goes by my knees, and I unhooked it so I don't bash it, and she's over here playing with the thing to be bad. So with that, he obviously has a whole bunch of experience with electricity, so it wasn't hard for him, but I could see how it'd be terribly hard for me or other people who aren't familiar with it. Okay, next one. What are the top search terms, phrases used when people find your business? Well, here's a very good tip. Name your business the top keywords people are searching. So I named it Mobile RV Tech Services. Now, you can't name your business that, because you can't, well, I mean, maybe you could, but there's different rules for different states. But maybe it's Steve's Mobile RV Tech Services. Put the keywords in your business name that people are searching, and it will help you come to the top.
I do know you won't be able to buy the domain for it or anything close to it.
Because he has a whole bunch of domains close to it. And that's why we didn't choose our RVing platform, Radar Road Warriors, because if it says Radar Road Warriors, no one knows what that is. We do own that domain too, and it would have been easy. We also own Twisted Toolbox because we have that YouTube channel, but we didn't name it any of those. What I think is a very bad move that I see some businesses doing is naming your business something very personal to you. It seems a lot of RVers are having a second life, not a midlife crisis, but something has happened that they're like, I'm going to move out and do everything. And it's like new beginnings, mobile RV repair.
Or second chance, or like,
yes,
wait
things
a minute.
like that makes it sound like in people's subconscious, they're listening to that. They read it. And they're like, did they just get out of prison? Like, is that their second chance? Did they get divorced? Are these people going to come with a whole bunch of baggage? All these things start running through your mind subconsciously that you don't even realize. And so you see their name like Second Chance Mobile RV Repair, or you see Steve's Mobile RV Repair. Subconsciously, you're saying, well, Steve doesn't seem like he has a whole bunch of baggage. I'm just going to go with him. He seems safer. Seems like it's going to be a lot less drama. So don't name it something so personal to you. I mean, it could be personal, but name it something that people understand what it is. Don't do this. This is one of my friends is going to do this at the NRV TA, and I talked her out of it. When she got her RV in the truck, she was from the suburbs, and they got a 250 to haul their camper, and everyone was like, that's a big truck. And so that was like their whole story, Big Red Truck. So they were going to have something about Big Red Truck RV services. And I'm like, well, what happens if you get a black truck or something? And you're like, you always have to have a red truck. And she's like, oh, that's a good point. She's like, but I really want that as a name. And then I'm thinking, well, you know, most of the people that you're servicing are in a campground. Like, you have a 250, I got a 350. Your truck's small compared to mine. In this Class A, your truck's teeny compared to them. Like, you're not big in a campground. You're big in the suburbs. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And then she named her business something completely different. So think about that kind of stuff where you're not tied to a certain
There's even
thing.
that company. Who was the guys in Little Red Truck? Their business wasn't Little Red Truck. That was just their tagline.
Yeah.
So you can
glass
use
company.
things like that as like
Little
a
Red Truck.
tagline or a slogan or
Yeah.
some marketing stuff like, hey, look at a big red truck, we'll be right around the corner. But have your business name, you know, Joe's RV Repair, possibly.
And we just saw this on somebody's RV, or they submitted, I don't know what it was. I see lots of stuff that they're putting the business name on the front of their camper, like on the front where the decal is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. Just say it's like ABC or Cat Treats LLC. It had nothing about mobile RV repair. It was the business name, and their business name didn't have the word mobile RV repair. LLC isn't helping you out on there. If it's Cat Treats Mobile RV Repair, like, you got to have the mobile RV repair, because people just think, oh, it's Cat Treats LLC. I don't know, what do? Maybe they're just YouTubers and they travel around. So they had it on their front cap for business. Make sure it's clear what the business is.
A lot of people will set up an LLC as their business. Usually have an LLC set up. You can set up a DBA, which is a doing business as, underneath of that LLC. And then you don't have to have that LLC as part of your name and logo all the time, so your official name is always out there. It just makes the marketing stuff easier. So talk about that with anybody who's setting up your business end of it. If you can set up a DBA name, which is doing business as, underneath of your LLC, that way you don't have to have LLC in a name. And I don't even know if you have to have LLC in a name if it's LLC. I don't think so. I think it can just be Erica's Cats, which is classified in LLC. It doesn't have to be Erica's Cats LLC.
Erica's Crazy Cat Woman Petting Coffee Shop.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that stuff works. I'm nowhere near a business attorney, but there's options out there, I know.
Is there an issue with an RV that you can't figure out? How do you account for your time spent on the job and communicate this to the customer if expensive parts are replaced, but there is still an underlying issue?
Well, if there's to be clear and upfront and explain the processes to the customer as you're going along. So, as we said earlier, when I talked to the customer initially, figuring out what their situation is, they're going to send me some pictures over of something unique. And if it catches me by surprise and I do take the job and I go out there, like, well, back up. If I talk to the customer and it's something that this is going to be complicated, the RV is really old, there's many issues into it, and I just won't take the job, I'll refer them to someone else or take it to a dealership that might be a better situation for them. But if I do take the job and it catches me by surprise when I'm out there and it's something to be like, this is going to need a lot of parts, we're going to do this, before we would put any parts into that besides time, we would have a conversation with the customer like, this makes logical sense that it needs this part inside of your RV. And once we put this in, you own this part, I can't return it. So they would, if the part is now in their possession inside their RV, they would have to pay for it. If you get to the diagnostic part of it and you realize this is well over your head, sometimes you're better off just to chalk it up, eat your time, and not charge a customer. Sometimes you can charge a customer, on mileage if you had a conversation beforehand with it. But I think we're talking about this in a second, aren't we?
It's not on here. We just talked about that earlier.
So one thing I see out there is I see feedback from people about like customers or an RV space that someone came out to their RV, charged them a mileage fee, charged them an hour diagnostics, and didn't know how to fix it and didn't fix it but charged them. So they're like, well, what do? I guess I pay the person the $400 or whatever they charge me. If you're going to go out there, be honest with the people. If you can't fix it, say this is beyond my knowledge and I can't fix it. I've had to see those situations before. Like, this is beyond me. I could figure this out, but it would take me way too long to justify putting the time into it to figure it out. Where it'd be like, hey, you don't owe me anything. I'm going to go on my way. And I'd recommend, calling, someone that specializes in your type of RV for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had someone just recently, it was a special RV. I didn't know if I could fix it or not before I went out there, but if it was one of those things that they knew that we were going to give it a valiant effort because no one else could do it and they were stuck, that if I went out there, they would at least cover my mileage to get out there. If I couldn't fix it, I was not going to charge them any time when I was out there. So,
and you had that conversation up front.
Beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Just be clear with the customer and transparent beforehand. Communication and being clear goes a long ways, and to be unclear is always unkind.
And with that, if you think about it, if you go out, you charge a customer mileage, an hour diagnostic, say it's $250, and you're like, yeah, I can't fix your RV, it's $250. That customer is going to pay you, and then that customer's going to be ticked that they paid you to fix their RV and you didn't, and they're going to go tell every single person that they know, because that's what's on their mind. Oh, you're going to hire him, let me tell you what he did. Oh, you're over here drinking beer, sitting out here, let me go tell you, I just had to pay $250 to that guy. Bad word of mouth is going to spread. If you go out there and you say, I can't fix this is beyond me, maybe you should call this person, or this person, here's some referrals, they might be able to help you, I'm not going to charge you. That's where it's going to end. They might go tell somebody else if they're like, oh, I'm thinking about hiring this guy. And they're like, oh, yeah, he came over. He couldn't fix my stuff, but he didn't charge me. Yeah. And it's not bad. But the other way, it's going to be very bad. So your phone's not going to be ringing. And, if you don't know, word of mouth spreads through the campground, especially the seasonal campgrounds, if you're good or not. So that could be why you're not getting calls if you're charging for stuff that you're not doing.
I actually had a conversation with a customer today. I was cleaning her air conditioners, and it's I want to say it's a 2010-ish Class A, and it has one of those big awnings that goes all the way over, like the full top awning. And he asked if I could change the motor on it. I said, I'm sure I could. I haven't done this before. So it might be something, if I look at it, we'll figure out what model it is so I can research it beforehand so I know if it's something I'll even take the job on. But if I start on it and so I realize it's beyond me, and then we will just pack it up and I'll go about my way, and then that'll be it. And I said also with that, it might be something that maybe this job should take an hour for it, and it's going to take me an hour and a half because I don't quite know how things work. I'm being a little more cautious and careful to make sure I'm doing it properly. some of those situations that you learn along that way of how to do that job, you'll charge the customer for what it should take to do the job. And the next time you do it, you have a learning experience. You can do that job in an hour, and you can do 2 or 3, 4 more jobs. And that customer also will tell their friends, because when
No one else
you do
could've
a
did
great
it,
job
and you
for
did
it, you did it, you treated them fair, that goes twofolds. Taking that, they'll refer you out and they'll call you back again.
Do you utilize Chat GPT? I love Chatty. I named it Chatty, and I even tell him, Chatty, I love you so much. And I'll be like, he responds to it. It's a he too. Yes, I use Chat GPT all the time because I do not like typing out one sentence, try to figure out words. I hate writing. And so I'll put my little simple words into Chat GPT. Like I'm trying to say, the cat and I are going out to the park for a walk, and we should get ice cream. Can you make this sound better? And then he says stuff, and I'm like, woo, yeah, let me use some of this, some of this. Whatever, if you're using Chat GPT to write, do not take what they put, like whatever Chatty says, because it's going to be RV enthusiast. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, that's Chat GPT for sure. Take ideas in words that they give, like sentences that they give you, and then put it in your own words, because Chat GPT gives me a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I would never say those words, and I'll change this, this, and this, change things around, but it gives you a starting point, because I hate writing. It is good for getting ideas about, we have a Touch a Truck sponsorship coming up, and I'm like, what are we going to do? Because our truck is not cool compared to the fire truck and the heavy equipment and everything. What can we do at our location to get ideas? And I'm like, Chatty, what are some sponsorships ideas I can get of, I'm a mobile RV tech, and I just type in everything that you're doing, like you just talk to it like it's a person. Give me some ideas for sponsors, or not sponsorships, but what fun things I can do for kids to get them involved. And it gave me a whole bunch of ideas. And then I was like, picked one and then changed it up and said, Steve, this is what we're going to do while we're at the Touch a Truck event to make our thing interesting for people to want to come and check it out. And it's going to be fun. So you can get ideas. And every time Steve comes home, I'm like, Chatty and I did this. Look what Chatty and I did. So he's my little helper for ideas to get marketing and write stuff. Do you participate in affiliate marketing? Yes, and I love affiliate marketing. For the business end, it's genius because you are giving people a commission to sell your product who are in whatever space that people are following them and that they want the information. So it makes a lot of sense because it's just like paying a salesperson, but your salesperson can't be where all the customers are. So it makes complete sense. And then for us, it makes sense because you get to make extra money by pimping out someone else's product that you love, and we only do that with stuff that we love, and we are an Amazon affiliate. So if you ever look on our Amazon page, there's a whole bunch of review videos that we made for Amazon, and so I just think the whole affiliate thing is amazing. So on our page, business discounts, it has everything that we're an affiliate for. So we just had, RV Locks contact us. Actually, we have never gotten anything or signed up or got sponsorship money for anything that we have done. Watchdog, we asked them if we could borrow some watchdogs for our videos that we're going to make for Amazon and signed up through them as an affiliate.
Before that, we already owned the watchdog.
Yeah, we already owned it,
Yep.
But it was installed underneath our RV, so you can't make a video showing something. And then they just told us to keep it, and then we gave those away as prizes on our Radar Road Warriors page. But our VLOX just asked us if we would do a video for them, and my first question back was, can I get a discount for my followers? So if they want to buy it, there's like a discount, and they're like, oh, you can sign up as an affiliate. And I was like, yes. You can send me a free lock in May when I get back to Michigan, and by the end of December, you will have a video of how it works, because we need another RV lock on our door. He thinks it's dying.
Yeah, Vorner's out.
And he installs them for customers, and I was like, that's a good fit for us. That's something that I would like to promote. We get a ton of requests from like Chinese companies all the time, from Radar Road Warriors, to pimp out all their products, and I was just like, delete. We don't do any of that.
I will say that if you are looking at all these different avenues, focus on one thing at a time. We've had our YouTube channel and affiliate program started from 2020, so that's just in our normal routine right now of everything that's in process. We don't even have time to make the videos that we were making at one point in time for Amazon and the affiliates, so it's not a huge income source. So focus on one thing. If you have a ton of passion into it and you love making videos like Erica does, then it's something you can look into. But if you're trying to run a mobile RV tech business and do the service calls,
Oh yeah,
all
and
that.
make videos.
You're going to be overwhelmed with yourself, and you're going to drop the ball on many of things. You need to be able to sail the boats that you're sailing. So if you put a bunch of boats in the water and you can't drive them all, they're going to be crashing into the shore. So make sure that you can manage what you're trying to manage. Start small, work your way out, do what you're passionate about and love it. Don't try to do everything at once because you'll be bad at all of it.
This little fruit fly is trying to go up my nose. And with that, because they see what we're doing, like, oh, I can do all this. This has been years in the making. So I made review videos for our last business, for the racetrack. And I always wanted to make videos. I never had time because we worked too many hours. So when we sold the racetrack, I told Steve, I want, like, in my heart, like, this is God being like, this is your passion and you need to do this. I said, I need to start a YouTube channel. I want to learn how to make videos. And so at first, our YouTube channel, if you go way back to the beginning, it has videos of us on the side-by-side things and be like, oh gosh, this sounds terrible. We got to figure out how to do that. We got to figure out how to do this. I always wanted to start Twisted Toolbox, which would be Steve fixing stuff, because people always said, how do you do that? And I was like, that'd be great, but now we're in an RV. So what are we going to do? So that's why I started an RVing channel. And then I learned about Amazon affiliates, and people are like, what's this link? What's this link? What's this link? And so I'm like, well, I want to be able to get money for the commission off of these things, and you have to have a whole bunch of followers. And so I'd apply. Finally, one day they accepted us. And from that, then they sent out an email, hey, you can make review videos on Amazon. I'm like, what's that? So we started making review videos and seeing then those things would make money. All this was started well before we did the mobile RV tech stuff. So if I didn't do any of that stuff before, we would not have that in the business as it is right now. That was all started before. So that's how it came to be. There have been 3 years of setting all that up. And in 2020, I hardly worked, so I had plenty of time to figure out how YouTube worked. And I had to buy a course on how YouTube worked from KYD, Keep Your Daydream, because I couldn't figure it out. Next question, are you an LLC or an S Corp?
I think we answered this earlier. We're currently an LLC, and we will be switching over to an S Corp once our accountant paperwork gets figured out on that part.
Manny says, I attended the NRVTA 1 month after you last year, and I think I have learned more by watching your YouTube and Facebook. Great job. Oh, thank you. And thanks for the comments, because as you see that we have like 32,000 followers on Facebook, you might be like, that's awesome. Well, let me tell you what 32,000 followers has. A whole bunch of trolls, a whole bunch of hate. Every time we go through the social media, it's like, you suck, you're a freaking idiot, you're this, you're that. I love this video, great job. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you get to hear how crappy you are every single day. I don't like how you caulk. I don't like how you do this. I don't like how you said that. Blah, 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 blah. So thank you for a kind word. That does help out. Time for a Patreon channel. Well, we don't have a Patreon. We're not going to do that. But we did start the Facebook subscription to answer people's questions, because we get way too many questions in our personal inbox and we can't answer them. And the Facebook group is helping us out majorly. So if you guys don't know about the Facebook subscription, you want to go check it out. It's some good stuff in there. How do you keep track of inventory? I have not found a good way in House Call Pro to keep track of this, so I'm currently running a spreadsheet and updating it daily. My first question when I read this, because I answered this question when they posted it, is do you have to update it daily? Like, do you need to know that you have 8 of these, or do you just know when it goes down that you have 2 left, that now it's time to order?
One I might have on my inventory sheet of how many I had, that really doesn't matter to me anymore. If I have the stock and I need it, it's in the truck, or in Michigan I have a basement where I can visually see what I have. And if I use up something, I put it on my shopping list to restock it. So I don't know how many I have of each thing. Occasionally I find a random box that I stuff stuff away that I found some anode rods over here. Something like that once in a while. But usually all the stuff I have is in the truck as a rolling inventory. I restock it. If I go to my extra stock stash and I'm out, I put it into a shopping list and I reorder it next time I'm going to order from whatever vendor that's from.
Kind of reminds me of the same thing when I worked at the bulk food store. We just look at the bins and say which ones do you got to order when you ordered.
And House Call Pro is not easy for inventory. They have a price book, and my price book items are categories. There's a few items on there which are standard items that I don't have to think about all the time. I'll say winterizing extra gallon of antifreeze, or an anode rod, or a water pump, or things like that that are the same part, same price, and I go through those things often enough, so they're just inside the price book. But for water heater parts, I don't have the switches, the thermostats, the heating elements, all those things loaded in there for the prices. Those are on the Excel inventory sheet where I can look up the price for that thing because I'd be there all day long trying to put things in the price book back and
Oh,
forth,
yeah, you'd be
update
wasting
inventory.
your time.
It wouldn't be worth it. I just need to have the Excel sheet, which has the sorted by categories, water heaters, furnaces, etc. And I look at, okay, I got a Suburban, thermostat, ECO. This is a cost for the customer. I pull up that OneDrive sheet on Excel. I also have those printed off in the truck. I have to update those occasionally, which is on my list right now because my list has been updated way too many times since the last time I printed them off last summer. So that's the easy way for me to do it. Times, do you think one of those smaller Ford Transit Connects is big enough for a company van, this line of work? If you specialize and niche down to something small, yes, it could be. There was someone I saw at the Pantera open house recently. They had generator repair inside of their RV, so I'm assuming they did generator repair inside of their Transit Connect. So I'm assuming they did generator repairs plus some other small things. But a Transit Connect van is quite small, so if you have to put large things in there, maybe an air conditioner, I'm not sure if it would fit with the other tools inside of there, and your
That's a good
lighters and
point.
those things. So if you are doing small parts, I'm sure you can make it work. But depending on what your need is and where you're at and how your business operates, maybe, but not for me.
Jason says he has a Ford Transit Connect. Well, once you start going, Jason, you'll be able to tell people in our Facebook group if it's big enough. He says absolutely not. I don't even think a semi-truck would be big enough for Steve for stuff. But us fitting an air conditioner in our truck is a pain. Steve even took out the fifth wheel hitch, but just certain things that are big and bulky are a pain to move around.
I will say quickly,
Okay.
I do like on Vinny, the work van, that it's tall enough that if I had to put a refrigerator in there, I can put it into the back of the van. And it's long where I can put a awning, and I believe I can have 20 feet straight inside the van too. So that's one of the benefits I have in that one as well.
Everything. Vinny's a huge benefit over the truck.
Yes.
Because we can't fit like anything in the truck, including your wife a lot of times. Okay, so how do you charge for your parts?
You need to figure out whatever the market value is of the part. So if you're buying them wholesaler from Dometic, and let's say you can buy it for $85 and the retail is $120. If you do a quick Google search, part number 12345, what is the cost of it, and everybody is at $120, that's great. But if you buy the part, let's say for the $85 and Dometic says retail is $320, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great markup. Then you search that same part number on Google, and you can buy it everywhere all day long for $150. You say, well, really, I buy it 85, sell it for $150. That's a pretty good markup. I'll take it. So the goal is, averaging 30%. Some smaller parts can be more, some larger parts can be less. It all depends on what the market is for some of those parts and pieces, and being fair with the customer. Certainly not price gouging them. I ran into that before we were Mobile RV Tech, trying to buy a part.
And we'll
and it's
never
like,
go back
seriously?
to that person. We have a very bad taste in our mouth about that person.
I needed the part. I could buy this on Amazon for $90, and you want to charge me $350. I'm like, I understand you might have to buy it. You can only buy it for the $95. I'd be more than happy to pay $150 or $200, but the $350 range, come on, man.
And with parts, you're not always trying to make money off parts. You'll tell customers either, hey, I can buy it or you can buy it, but if I buy it, I have to mark it up because I have to make the profit and get the credit card fees and all that. And some people are, well, if they're really watching their budget, they'll be like, oh, I'll buy it. And other people are like, no, that's fine. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm on vacation. You order it.
Yeah, you take care of it. You make the money. It's your time you're putting into it.
Yeah, as long as they have the correct part, we will put it in. We're not making them buy one fruit fly.
They can't see it on camera. It's okay.
I know, but it's right here in my face. Like, aren't trying to screw customers over or trying to make a whole bunch of money on parts. We tell them, these are your options, and what one do you want to go with? And people like options. What suppliers do you use for parts, and do they require a sales tax number?
Some of them do, yes. If you're buying things like, say, off of Amazon, of course, you can buy those like anyone can. I know there's a business option you can do on Amazon. I don't buy enough parts off there to worry about things like that. I buy most of my stuff from wholesalers. Like Pantera is a great one. I love them because you can call them up if you're not quite sure about a part. If you're at a customer's RV, part numbers change all the time. It's quite ridiculous. And let's say you need part number 223406 for a furnace fan. You're searching this, you can't find it. You call them up, say, hey, I need this part number. Like, oh, by the way, now it's updated to 521304. Those are random part numbers, by the way. And so you can get that part. You don't have to waste your time searching and trying to figure it out through an online source. But there's things like NTP, Stag, Meyer Wholesale, Arrow. There's a bunch of them out there. If you are trying to figure out parts, where to buy them from, if you get RV Part Finder, it's a subscription. You have to pay for it. It's not cheap, but it saves a lot of time. You can put in the part number you're looking for, and sometimes you can cross-reference and figure out what the new stuff is. They have part manuals on there for determining what parts and diagrams and those items. And if you put the part number in, it'll tell you who stocks those parts. You'll start seeing that who is a good vendor to go with, when you're trying to figure out what wholesaler you want to go with. You can see what parts, what cost they sell it for.
And RV Part Finder was one of the first things that you had, like the free subscription for like a month or two, whatever it was, to check it out. And you quickly decided, oh my gosh, I need this, because you were spending hours trying to find parts. And we're like, okay, we actually need to bill people doing this, so we need the quick thing. What is it, like $70 a month or something?
I think so, yeah. I paid for it about a year.
$69 sounds familiar a year ago. Okay, Mark, you're going to make Steve cry. Do you have a bench test area in your van for testing things like appliances? He wishes.
I don't yet. There's two ways to look at this. I've taken things to the tailgate of a truck, and I can take them apart that way because it's sometimes easier. But sometimes using the RV power source, or you maybe run the power lines, let's say you're working on a furnace. You route the power lines out of the RV, and you can extend onto the propane line, because you can get a true reading on what the RV supply is. If you take your own power supply and your own propane supply, you might not get the proper reading on what's wrong with that, because you've eliminated two of the sources that could be potential issues. And sometimes it's great to be able to work on stuff and tear it apart and bench test it. I've seen a lot of people that bench test it and it works great, and they put it in your RV, and you get into that environment, things don't work right. It could be power related, it could be propane related, it could be airflow, many things that are different there. So I will try to diagnose it in place if possible. If I need to take it apart, I'll take it to the truck, which I've done that a few times. And eventually I'll have a little better workbench set up off of the van with like a Anderson connector where I can plug into the power and ground up the van battery. So I'll have a good power supply to be able to test some things, do it that way. But I don't have it yet.
Well, you haven't even set your van up. We just got it, put stickers on it, put it in storage, then came to Texas. The last frequently asked question that was submitted was, what's one piece of business advice that you would recommend to others looking to start their own small business? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of little pieces of advice. For one, don't copy other businesses. Be yourself and incorporate things that you value into your business. Set up your business operations as you would like to be treated. And these are the things that I want to share with you that we hear from customers after we service them, that they spiel their guts about why they liked us. They thank us for not nickeling and diming them. So with our price, we have a mileage fee if they have one. If they're right in our immediate area, there's not, like in the RV park, we don't charge one. We have the hourly fee and price of parts. There's nothing else. There's not like, oh, and then we have this fee and this fee, and everything is up front. They like our texting system, that they know when we're coming, they can talk to us directly without having to pick up the phone. So that's House Call Pro. There's a little chat line, and you can do everything but call on that. So that's what it's talking about. They like that our job email sends a picture of Steve, so they know who's showing up at their door. They don't like when they call somebody and somebody random shows up and they don't know who to look for, or when a truck comes up and it's not logoed, or a person comes to their RV and they don't have a logoed shirt on. So logos and pictures beforehand so they know who's coming. If you notice, our business cards, our Facebook cover photos and everything all has a picture of Steve's face. This is him, so they know who it is. We call people back as soon as we can, even if we can't help them. We show up when we say we're going to show up. So I hear a lot of texts, actually Michigan in from here, where they say, oh yeah, when I'm around next time I'll stop by and see what I can do, or yeah, I can do that on Tuesday, and then they don't show up and the person took off of work and they're waiting the whole time. And they're like, well, I couldn't get to it, my schedule is busy. Like, we actually show up when we say we're going to show up. And we're seeing that a lot right now on the feedback from our reviews, that they keep saying he showed up early, or he showed up when he said he was going to show up. And we show them pictures in person or on their phone while Steve is fixing something. He'll say, either bring it to them and say, hey, this is what I found, see this, this, and this is what's going on. Or he's taking pictures up on the roof and says, this is what I see. Here are the options. What do you want to do? he's not saying this is the only thing you can do. Here are the options. Like, what's your budget? What do you want to do? You want to fix it? Do you not want to fix it? It's up to you. So we give them options of how they want to repair and what parts they want to buy. He does this a lot with like the axles,
brakes and tires, especially if I go to the campground and I find that the brakes are fried when I'm there. Be like, well, these are something I would take 2 hours, drive around, try to find the parts, because these aren't something I stock, but I know where they can get them, so they can take the 2 hour round trip to go pick up the parts and get them. It's not worth me driving around to get the parts to make $20 off the whole operation. The same thing could be with batteries, and the customer can source them themselves, and they can get it. They can go buy the batteries from a place, and I can make sure they get the right batteries, of course, things like that. There's places out there that sell things cheap, like United RV, whether it's through their place or on Amazon. Like, I can't even buy it from my wholesaler for the same price they're selling it for. Like, if you want to order it from them, I'm more than happy to put it in. I'm not going to battle with the back and forth thing here with the trying to get the price cheaper. Or I'll tell them up front that I can order it, but I'm going to get it same place you're going to get it from, and I have to just charge you markup for my time having to get it, and those type of things. And I said this earlier, sometimes customers just rather have me, I don't want to order the wrong part, just go ahead and get it. I know it's going to cost me a little bit, but I appreciate your time doing it, so I'm going to make sure you're paid for that.
The one last thing that we heard a lot in Michigan is that they do not like when, say, Tech A and B, Tech A comes over, they talk about Tech B, and then Tech B comes over, they talk about Tech A. They don't like that environment. So if you're creating that type of environment for people, they don't like it. And they're like, oh, I like Tech C over here. He doesn't talk about anything, and we have a good time. He just fixes stuff. So that's the other big thing. So all of that combined, that's my one response.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot on House Call Pro group. If you have House Call Pro, there's a Facebook group that you can join. And people will be like, I got my first bad review. I don't have 5-star reviews. I'm like, 5-star reviews doesn't make you look like a real business. It kind of makes you look fake. Because everyone's like, oh, they're so good, they're so good. Like, people are grumpy. In our last business, we would get bad reviews. In my response, respond nicely and be like, oh, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. It doesn't sound like you're talking about our business, because we don't have a highway outside of our business. I think you're talking about another racetrack that's similar to our name, and just respond like that. It's a 1-star review. They're not going to take it away, but that happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't checked out the marketing and business video, this was the follow-up to that. There's a whole bunch more information. You're going to want to do that next. And if you haven't watched any of our videos, inside our playlist on YouTube on Radar Road Warriors, it's called Mobile RV Tech Services Business. Those are all the videos we have made about the business that you'll want to watch all those, and you'll get a whole bunch of education. And we'll see you next time, but there's not going to be another live video for a long time unless you're in the subscribers group.